It was of our higher juicy news. Mema Wibia Aquaba Hadia later than hot news and qua Aramedi Bremo. And so we can subscribe to channel idea Bomodia say over subscribe. The way I say over click a subscribe button. Now a barely notification. We understand video for free be uploaded when the first person out was Ebeka AS video. I feel we are now like video and give us a thumbs up now fee. Share ba wo foforo so da when you be here na wo hu ensemo a ekoso Ghana memwa afi yem hwe ye ensemo aba beto yep no so momenti ye sansem ye ekosi ensemo ya beto ja momenti enti de ekoso momenti.
Just the other day I was reading from a respected bishop, if he can call himself respected, I won't mention his name. He said we should understand that Ghanaians didn't give us a verdict to persecute people. What the hell do you mean? What was that supposed to mean? Did we, at which point in the NDC's campaign, did we tell people that we were going to persecute people? We said we were going to hold people to account. We gave it a mnemonic operation, recover all loot, and we will recover everything that the MPP has stolen from the Ghanaian people. Make absolutely no mistake. If you want to call it persecution, call it persecution. When Akufo Addo was persecuting us, you kept quiet. Me, sitting here, I humbly submit that I went to Yoko 34 times. 34 times. At a point, they got tired of me. They told me to go away and don't come back. Because I was told that the reason why they were calling me had to do with the fact that I had apparently insulted the Akufo Addo. Somebody should point me to any time that I insulted the Akufo Addo is my cousin. But I stood up on principle and told Ghanaians, don't vote for him because he would destroy the country. Was I right or was I wrong? If I was wrong, tell me I was wrong. Today, am I the only person whose bank account was stolen? How does a president and his cousin and his cousins steal $12 billion of your savings? Some of you retired teachers, retired firemen, retired police people, you have kept your savings in the bank and loaned it to government. Because when you save money with the bank, that's essentially what you have done. And then 2 weeks before they steal your money, the president comes to tell you there will be no haircut. Remember that? Remember that? He came to tell you there will be no haircut. Right? And then they steal the money and they tell you that when you are 87, come and collect your money with no interest, among others. And then 8 years later, he tells us I had nothing to do with the government because I wasn't given opportunity. If you weren't given opportunity, why were you still in the government? I never see animal. This animal boss now, or boss and Abronsana Sebi, or Tikanimu, and some Kukumasin will do Sunyania. Won't to talk. What Tikanimu? Kwaku do bog affairs and Ababaka and say, me Pantomo fast the animal. Now, young went to me and Casania this animal. Say, and you better anywhere to Niger. I'm deeply humbled, and many of us in the NDC are deeply humbled by the verdict that the Ghanaian people have given on politicians. Not just the MPP, NDC, and indeed anybody who will have the opportunity to run this country. I don't want to use the word rule because I think when you say ruling people is an insult. To run the affairs of government in this country. What the Ghanaian people have shown us on December 7 is that they will never accept gaslighting from politicians again. They will never accept lies, deceit, one issue campaign, arrogance, greed, petty stealing on the part of people who came to tell them to try me, submission. So, my brother Solo, I humbly associate myself with your sentiments. Some of us will not run away from being ordinary. Indeed, my big brother Kwesi will tell you that when I was the head of the free zones, I never left his show. I never took away myself from being a simple, humble person. And I pray that all our colleagues will stay humble. Because in Twi we say, if anybody thinks that the sweeping verdict that the Ghanaian people have given us is a call to arrogance, a call to illegal acquisition, a call to pride, and when the same people that you used to sit down and eat kenke with tell you they've seen something wrong and that you should address it, you roll up in your government issued SUV and insult them and walk away and go and sit in moving pick and eat. You are heading towards where Akufo Addo and his gang of buccaneers are right now. I also want to associate myself with the issue of lands that my brother Niamasana Mwale is bringing up, because the people of La are perhaps some of the most profoundly affected by the stealing, downright stealing. I don't want to call it any other thing, by this government of expropriating and misappropriating people's lands belonging to stools that should have been given back to them if they were not going to be used for that original purpose. He's brought up the issue of the trade fair site, but there are others like the Lawale school, which some of it was given to Akufo Addo's cronies at 180,000 cedis per plot. 180,000 cedis per plot. Today that's $11,000. If a plot of land in cantonments is 180,000 cedis or $11,000, I'm sure many of us would have been landowners in that district. But they gave it to the governors, Ofori Atta, other aficionados and oppressionists of this moribund government. And as we speak today, they are building at breakneck speed day and night on those lands. And I will encourage the incoming government to address it, because it is not cool to allow people to behave like that and get away with it. If you go to Laboni today, Laboni Junction, the street between, and so it's just here. We cannot walk there. People have reached lintel level in 3 days. Why are they doing that? Because they know the courts weigh lopsidedly in favor of construction that has already taken place. And I'm very surprised that the young people of this country, of this area, even allowed that to go on. And I'm giving you specifics. People are building at breakneck speed. There are some plots on that road that people have reached lintel level in 3 days. I've heard rumors of who those buildings belong to, but because I don't have certainty of or proof, I can't mention names. Why do we do that to ourselves? Why does a finance minister appoint his wife to be the head of mental hospital? I don't know whether that area is under last jurisdiction, but the mental hospital, I'm giving you specifics. Can Ofori Atta put his wife there as the head of the board chair of a mental hospital, and the mental hospital patients and the doctors and nurses have been asked to leave the place because it has been given to some new redevelopers? Now, who does that? How can people be so insensitive and so criminal that their criminality even affects people who are mentally challenged, mentally mental health patients. Who does that? In this country, ever since colonization, even our colonial masters accepted the fact that a city needed green belts because the green belts absorb carbon dioxide produced by most of the industries around there. How is it that this government alone has been able to reallocate the children's park for redevelopment? How did they do that? How did they manage? The colonial government didn't do it. Kwame Nkrumah didn't do it. Buzia didn't do it. None of the military governments, Jerry Rawlings, Atta Mills, John Mahama did it. Only Akufo Addo had to do it. Because he doesn't give a damn. How did he manage to break down people's houses, people's offices, a government embassy, a foreign embassy, passport office, so that he could put his promise to God on that acreage opposite Reed Church in the name of the National Cathedral, where they spent $58 billion of our money, your money, my money, your taxes, and there's nothing there. And yet the La Road, all of you pass on it. How does it look? Won't $58 million have finished that road? The Ring Road, part of the La Road, wouldn't they have finished it? Won't $58 billion have finished your hospital? Wouldn't they have finished the La Hospital? Once again, the Ghanaian people have shown us politicians, or those of us who dabble in politics, that they will not tolerate lies, deceit, gaslighting, and stealing of the meager resources in which in the name of whatever it is. We are single issue campaigns. Whenever you say anything, they tell you we're giving you free SHS. How do you come and build an IT center in a place where people need toilets, people need recreation grounds, people need schools, and you come and build an IT center without education? What are they going to press the return button on the computer for? So once again, I thank the people of La for receiving us. And on the issue of the election and how it went, once again, if you want the people to vote for you, there's one very simple way of ensuring that, just govern them right. That's all. Creating different layers of trying to steal, ex-ante rigging, right? Removing the electoral commissioner and bringing a party apparatchik, right? A relative of your wife. Creating different levels of collation so that you can change figures as they come into those collation levels. Appointing TESCOM presidents, party communication officers onto the Electoral Commission will not change the results once the people of this country have decided that you are a thief. Let me take that again. Appoint whoever you want to appoint onto the Electoral Commission. Once the people of this country determine that you are a thief, they will not vote for you. And that is what the Ghanaian people have shown us. So, before I go on to my big brother, Uncle Kwesi, please never fail to remind us of what we said before we came to power. Because some of us cut our political teeth because we saw what you went through at the hands of politicians, and your insistence that you will always speak your piece. One of my most iconic moments growing up was that press conference that you attended, Ministry of Finance press conference. I don't know if you yourself remember, where you questioned the finance minister on certain issues to do with GIHOC and contended that those factories that we were handing over to privatization will not end up anywhere. And lo and behold, today, even though you haven't started a church, that prophecy, if it was a prophecy or if it was just simple common sense, has been proven right. Because today, Bonsa Tire Factory, the machines there, is being sold for scrap. And yet the very people who come and advise us to do those things, when the economies are in trouble, they do something that they call re-inflating the economy. They have several names for it. It's tantamount to government intervention into those industries to keep it afloat. So if government had intervened in Bonsa Tire Factory, all the GIHOC factories that we closed down, today many young people would have had work to do. We sat in this country and Akufo Addo spent $250 million to build a new Bank of Ghana headquarters. What for? We sat in this country and Akufo Addo spent $250 million on All Africa Games. And the only thing we won was arm wrestling medals, 46 of them. And we won them because everybody in Ghana has tight fingers. You can't even dip into your pocket to make ends meet. So why wouldn't we be winning arm wrestling medals? We gave $50 million of that money to the secretary to the president's wife to cook for the athletes. $15 million. We gave it to her. How many of you do not know somebody who has died or been maimed on the Accra Kumasi road? If you don't know anybody, raise your hand. How many of you don't know somebody who has died on the road from Accra to Cape Coast or to Takoradi or between Sunyani and Tamale? How many of you don't know somebody? How many of you don't hit a pothole every single day you leave your house? And yet we have found money to do all those completely useless things so that Akufo Addo and his gang can do procurement and steal from you. But today, you have answered him in the most emphatic way that it is time to go and you are going to account for what you have stolen. If you have stolen. I heard the president the other day saying that we should forgive each other because we are all brothers. When did he know about forgiveness? And when did he know about brotherhood? When did the Akufo Addo know about forgiveness and brotherhood? Is it because he has seen that the chickens are coming home to roost on his head? Is that why? Or has anybody done anything to him that should be forgiven? Or has he done something to somebody that should be forgiven? All the people he persecuted. Today, some of his cronies and his gang members are the biggest developers in this country. The lands that has been stolen from the people of La, go and find out who are developing them. We are in a country where today judges' homes can be broken down and given to private developers. And when the judicial service authority goes to court, the Chief Justice tells them they should go and settle it amicably. You see, my friends and brothers, sisters, I am not the one who is going to come and tell you what you already know. Your verdict on Akufo Addo has shown us that you already knew what we're talking about, but you were just waiting for him. You were just waiting for the time to come for you to deal with him. As for the Electoral Commission, the least said about them, the better. And if I were them, I would just leave office quietly so that there will be no need to pass them through the conveyor belt Akufo Addo's conveyor belt that he uses to remove Article 72 holders. Because this Electoral Commission, its commissioner, and all their apparatchiks are the worst form of public servants that we can ever have in the history of this country. The people of Ghana rendered a verdict. And if I were you, I will not be running back to further disenfranchise. After what you did in 2020, people were murdered. A 14-year-old girl was shot dead. A man who had just married 3 weeks earlier, Abbas, was shot dead. And you have the nerve to try to change parliamentary results when this same electoral commissioner had written to the NDC. If for those of you who remember, in 2020, our then majority leader, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, wherever he is, I greet him and I console him on the loss of his mom, led a foot parade to the EC to complain about the results of Techiman South, because 8 people had been killed there, and we believe strongly that the MPP's Martin Mensah Kosa had not won that election. Let me read excerpts of what she didn't even have the decency to come out and receive the petition from the majority leader. In the usual cowardly way, she sent somebody to come and receive it. This is what she wrote. The letter she wrote to them, item 13. If the journalists will spare me, it's item 13 on the list. Recollation can be done at all levels when requested before declaration of results. However, once election results have been declared, a dissatisfied party cannot request for a recollation or recount of the results. The validity of an election for the office of a member of parliament may be questioned only by a petition presented within 21 days after the date of the publication in the Gazette of the results of the election to which it relates. This resolution mechanism is provided for under Section 16 of the Representation of People's Law, PNDC Law 284 as amended. So for those of you who don't understand legalese, it's very simple. Go to court. Once the results are declared, if you don't like it, go to court. Take your case before a high court judge and let that high court judge determine whether there are any merits in your case. So what changed? Jean Mensah said there was intimidation. What is intimidation? Are you the one who defines intimidation? Isn't that intimidation part of what you said should be presented to a court? And then they came out and said gun to a head. Who saw a gun to any electoral official's head? If you saw it, raise your hand. I want somebody to come and tell me that they saw. You see, some people, when they are trying to act stupid, do not understand that there's a trail through which they should have jumped before coming to act stupid. The amount of security that exists, the scanners that exist before you enter the collation room, how can anybody take a firearm into that place unless the gun is plastic? Because the X-ray machines do not detect plastic. So if you have a plastic gun, maybe you can take it through. Did anybody see anybody with a gun to any collection of any returning officer's head? But what they wanted to do was, she was under instruction to plug back as many seats as she can so that the NDC doesn't get the 2/3 majority. The NDC doesn't need 2/3 majority to govern this country. In fact, maybe that 2/3 majority may give us a sense of complacency. What we need to do is to act right by the Ghanaian people. That is all we need to do. So the NDC is not going to govern this country with the president putting 65 people in his close-knit circle, including 5 of his first cousins in cabinet, his girlfriends in cabinet, his baby mamas as ambassadors, and anything in between. And do whatever he wants, because he can do whatever he wants. Because the civil society that were loud and obnoxious during President Mahama's first tenure were all quiet. Just the other day, I was reading from a respected bishop, if he can call himself respected. I won't mention his name. He said, we should understand that Ghanaians didn't give us a verdict to persecute people. What the hell do you mean? What was that supposed to mean? Did we, at which point in the NDC's campaign, did we tell people that we were going to persecute people? We said we were going to hold people to account. We gave it a mnemonic: Operation Recover All Loot, and we will recover everything that the MPP has stolen from the Ghanaian people. Make absolutely no mistake. If you want to call it persecution, call it persecution. When Akufo Addo was persecuting us, you kept quiet. Me, sitting here, I humbly submit that I went to Yoko 34 times. 34 times. At a point, they got tired of me. They told me to go away and don't come back. Because I was told that the reason why they were calling me had to do with the fact that I had apparently insulted the Akufo Addo. Somebody should point me to any time that I insulted the Akufo Addo is my cousin. But I stood up on principle and told Ghanaians, don't vote for him, because he would destroy the country. Was I right or was I wrong? If I was wrong, tell me I was wrong. Today, am I the only person whose bank account was stolen? How does a president and his cousin and his cousins steal $12 billion of your savings? Some of you retired teachers, retired firemen, retired police people, you have kept your savings in the bank and loaned it to government. Because when you save money with the bank, that's essentially what you have done. And then 2 weeks before they steal your money, the president comes to tell you there will be no haircut. Remember that? Remember that? He came to tell you there will be no haircut. Right? And then they steal the money and they tell you that when you are 87, come and collect your money with no interest. This gentleman sitting close to me in the cream shirt, he looks like a retired something, maybe retired teacher, retired somebody. Right? You spend 35 years of your life working, you commit to save, you put the money in the bank, and then Ofori Atta comes to steal the money and tells you that, oh, yenina ya boka, yenye ebitla. When wine ya boka no. Obi suma ose kobosa akano. We live in a country where we hear the president's cousin sharing Electricity Corporation of Ghana like Sebi, Brona Gem Biscuit, Mofra Biscuit, throwing it up in the air, say munya munsobi, and yet nothing was done about it. A letter was written to the CID that a criminal act had taken place in the whatever they were doing at ECG. Up to today, the police have done nothing about it. And yet, we have over 97 judges appointed by this same president. So let me end my submission here by saying that to the people of Ghana, the people of La, and everywhere, those of you who decided that you had had enough of the effrontery of one man and his family, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to come and right the wrongs. And let me assure you that those wrongs done to you will be righted. President Mahama has given us that assurance, and whatever President Mahama has said he will do, he will do. In the 3 years and 4 months that he was allowed to run this country, you saw what he did. He didn't steal your land. He didn't steal your airports and give it to his family. He rebuilt it. He didn't steal Legon lands and give it to his family. He built UGMC. And today, the very people who refuse to commission UGMC Today, when they get sick, that's where they go and lie. In fact, when they die, they prefer the fridges, the mortuary fridge in UGMC, because that one is cool. It doesn't ice the body. When they fall sick, they go outside the country and go and change their body parts. When they get stroke, they go outside the country. They don't come to the Agenda 111 hospitals, of which none of them has been built. So let me assure you, those of us who are humbly associates of President Mahama, whatever he asks us to do, we will do. But please keep reminding us that those of you who voted for us are the same people who vote against us. My father, and he's listening to this, when I was younger, he told me a little something with which I want to leave all of you by. He said when Jesus rode into Bethlehem, the people who adorned him with the palm fronds were the same people who a week later demanded his execution. So the people don't change. It is their values that change. And in whatever you do, please remember to hold your elected and appointed officials to account. I'm not saying go to their house at 5 a.m. when they are sleeping. I'm saying hold them to account, because they come under the guise of serving you. So what changes when we have the trappings of power? What changes? You have given your verdict on the driver's mate. I haven't even bothered to mention him because I wouldn't even bother to mention him. You have told all of us that you will not tolerate somebody who is the number 2 man in the government and then comes to tell you I had nothing to do with the government. The man who claimed they had the economic management team, that was Black Star management team, with Osafumafu playing fullback, he himself as the striker, and your boss, regrettably, as the central midfielder, among others. And then 8 years later, he tells us I had nothing to do with the government because I wasn't given opportunity. If you weren't given opportunity, why were you still in the government? I never see animal. This animal boss now, or boss now, Bronsana Sebi, or Tikanimu, and some Kokumasin will do Sunyania, on to talk. What Tikanimu Yane? And Makwa do bog affairs and Abakache and say, me Pantomo fast the animami. Now, young went to me and Casania this animal, say, and you subeti anywhere to Niger. I will end my submission here. Once again, people of La, thank you very much.
And thank you. Thank you very much. Kojo Kyeremanteng.
Hello, I'm KB. We are talking of the impact of the election. Please, we had a very successful election, but we should all put our mind in reforming our EC. That is one major thing we should all focus on when our president-elect comes into office. Because as I'm speaking to you right now, I was watching this program on the TV, so I was switching between TV3 and this place. There is chaos at the regional electoral office. They've gone to collect their Kwabena, and there's fight there. Right now, as I'm speaking. So we should all put our efforts together and reform the Electoral Commission. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe you and me will be gone. And we will go for a democracy too, because some people will not stand this. Thank you very much.
Accounting for what happened at the polling stations. I think that was raised by one gentleman. Yes. Kojo, if you can.
Yes. You see, my brother, this Electoral Commission, as constituted, are just a bunch of reckless, lawless individuals who, when they wake up in the morning, I frankly don't know what they smoke. Because a day, just a day, after the Supreme Court has ruled on certain constituencies, they've woken up this morning, they are doing the same thing again. You see, when I was younger, when we were doing misbehaving in the house, my mom would say, "Now meanwhile, she's her mother. So sometimes I wonder, but you yourself, you don't know what you ate. What was consumed before those people were born? Don't they respect anything at all? The same Supreme Court that you used to tell us that when you were born, your birth certificate is not proof of your identity, but rather your Ghana card, which you are going to use your birth certificate to acquire, is rather proof of your identity. The same court has ruled that what you were doing was illegal, so stop. They are doing it again. Domi Kwabena was declared by the returning officer. In fact, we all saw it on the television. Eli Makurugu's hand was raised by the returning officer. If our brother Michael Kwe has a problem, he should go to court. He himself is a lawyer of no mean repute. Go to court. What is what is stopping you from doing that? A day after, in fact, it's not even 24 hours, because a day after Kwame Boa, it's not even 24 hours after the Supreme Court came up with, they're doing it again. And then somebody will get up and say, President Mahama, call your people to order. This is extreme provocation. Extreme provocation. What the MPP should be worried about is why their biggest seat by numbers in this country is even in contention. It is a referendum on the bad governance of Akufo Addo. So if they have anybody to blame, they should blame Akufo Addo. But Gyamfi and her sidekicks, Omuntijai, they are like Asasia by Omuntijai. And as far as I'm concerned, even though I have no locus on whether they are removed or not, they shouldn't be there. They should not be there, because some of them have started telling people that they can work with the NDC. That's not the point. The point is that lawyers have a saying called prior bad acts. One of those commissioners said the NDC is the itinerant problem of this country. Why do you want to work with the NDC then? If you are a man of principle, Dr. Bosman Asare, you wouldn't have lasted past the declaration. You said the NDC is the problem in Ghana. He said the NDC, what are you doing there? Yesterday, he said it's not that easy to remove commissioners. Sir. And maybe was how are you able to articulate that the party that has now won the election is the problem, is a danger to Ghana, but you want to serve under the I forget. They've told us that the Electoral Commission is a law unto itself, can do whatever they want. This is an Electoral Commission that did not listen to Ghanaians. All the things that Gyamfi wrote when she was head of IEA, like there should be greater consultation with IPAC, the EC is not a law unto itself. She got there and she decided she was a law unto herself. Right? One of the reasons that they removed Charlotte Osei was incompetence. So if it is a yardstick to go by, why is Gyamfi and her gang, why are they even still there? Incompetence. This is a woman who declared election results 7 times in 2020. That's not incompetence. Under her watch, the entity tender chairman of the EC, who had served since President Kufuor, he wasn't changed by President Mahama, wasn't changed by President Mills, he resigned. He resigned because of procurement infractions.
Okay.
So, my friends and brothers and sisters, as for the EC, let us leave President Mahama to deal with them. We voted for him to deal with all our problems. Let us leave him. He will deal with them.
You waiting for any reporter abeto yepono so meka say so when you subscribe to channel area bomodi say obe subscribe. Now fe so wa like give us a thumbs up. Now fe share ma wo foforo so na when you be here na wo hu ensemo ekoso e wo gara be mo. Also betimi achere wadwen afaye ensemo nyina hu e wo comment box ni mu. Mo beti bikabi in my next video.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.